Thanks for listening to the AZ Wildcats podcast. I'm your host, Mike Luke. We're joined by the boss, Saul Bookman, coming to us live from the Saul Bookman lair that is in Chandler, Arizona. This is true, Saul.
It is true. It is true.
All right. We got a lot to get to today, but first, anything going on today, boss? Anything you guys got anything going on?
We've got a little draft party that's going to have over 100 people at it. No big deal. It's going to be nice, just a few acquaintances.
All right. Now, we got to ask you, what is the Cardinals draft for Saul Bookman?
Ideally, they shore up all their weaknesses by drafting Marvin Harrison Jr.
Mm-hmm.
They get a couple good interior defensive linemen, maybe an offensive lineman. Jackson Powers out of Oregon would be good.
How about Jordan Morgan?
Jordan Morgan would be solid too. I wouldn't take him until the second round, though, in my opinion.
All right.
As much as I love Jordan, I think there's a couple other guys that would be a little bit of a better fit at this moment.
Right.
So,
is it an anti-Marana thing? Because now Jordan Morgan and Trenton Bourguet yesterday or on Tuesday, Saul, is it an anti-Marana thing? Do you have a beef?
1,000,000% no, not a chance. Not a chance. You're not getting me on that.
All right, we got a lot to get to today. We're going to talk about Trey Townsend committing, the bad news for the Spacers. We're going to talk starting five. We're going to make fun of ASU. We're going to talk about defensive tackles. Actually, I'm going to give ASU credit on this. But first, we need to talk about Trey Townsend. This was Arizona's top priority in the portal from day one. They were able to make it happen. Saul, I love this move for a variety of reasons. First of all, I like players, and I'm going to keep saying this, that can get theirs in the NCAA tournament when everything kind of bogs down. He's that dude. He's able to he got 31 and 13 on NC State, 17 and 11 against Kentucky. You look around, Illinois did the same thing. And there's a very underrated aspect about his game that we're going to get to in a second. I like this pick a lot, and it also shows you, too, that when Tommy Lloyd prioritizes somebody, Tommy Lloyd generally gets them.
I mean, listen, he's versatile. I like his game. The only weakness I see in his game is a little bit more of the mid to long range shooting.
Right.
But you don't necessarily need that if he's so efficient around the basket, and he's really good. He's a really good all around player. I think. Again, if you don't get a guy like Caleb Love to come back, you need some guys that you feel like are certified bucket getter.
Right.
And I think Townsend fits that mold for sure. Brea from Dayton would have been a great get to. I did like his game. I liked his long range ability, but I think Trey Townsend, in terms of what you lost with Keshad Johnson, I think that's a suitable replacement.
And what I also like about him, too, is he gets a lot of rebounds. Now, you're losing Umar Ballo, leader of men, who was one of the best rebounders in the country. This is a guy that got you 10. You could always count on him. 10 to 14 rebounds per game, no exceptions. Trey Townsend, when you look at him against the best teams that he's won against, the Power 5 teams, he was getting 10 rebounds per game. Again, like I said, Kentucky, North Carolina State, Illinois, Xavier, they are, like I said, that's something that needs to be replaced because Umar Ballo, a lot of people like to focus on his flaws. What people didn't ever focus on, it seemed, was that he was maybe as good a rebounder as there was in college basketball. That needs to be replaced as well.
1,000,000%. You need a lot of activity that you got to replace on those boards, and you can't forget Johnson either. I mean, both of those as a tandem attacking the glass it was phenomenal. So how are you going to replace that? First, you need Krivas to get a little size, a little bit of bulk, a little bit of strength in those legs, be able to get a little bit more agility in order to attack the rebounds. He's got the length, clearly, but in order to get to some of those impossible things, like if you remember like DeAndre Ayton a couple times during his time here, when it looked like the ball was out of his reach, what would he do? He'd reach over the defender, he'd reach out, and he'd tap it up a couple times to get it back to himself and secure that rebound. But that takes a lot of athleticism. So you're looking for that. And Trey Townsend can provide a little bit of that as well. So, and that's just because of his activity. I don't think it's necessarily because of his size.
What I also really like about him is his assist numbers. I'm a big fan of big men that can get assists because it generally shows me that you're a fairly cerebral player. This is a dude that every single game you would look at it 4 assists per game, 3 assists, 5 assists, 6 assists. And talking with a Oakland beat writer, he said that that's probably the most underrated aspect about his entire game is that he can get people involved. And he said that was something that Tommy Lloyd sold him on as well, is that we like to move the ball around here. I mean, at Arizona, that he doesn't like the ball to stick. Now, there were times, obviously, when it sticks, but 2 to 3 dribbles, that's what you get. This is going to be somebody that's going to be able, if the guy's open and he's got to make the cross-court pass, he's got to make the quick touch pass, he's going to be able to do that as well. That is something that, again, that I think is fairly underrated when you're looking at college basketball players, and especially in Tommy Lloyd's offense, Saul.
Yeah, I'm also interested to see what kind of wrinkles that they're going to be able to provide with Trey. Now, when they do that dribble handoff series at the top, that's just kind of to get them into their motions and get some activity going. But I'd like to see some wrinkles where Trey is coming off of a screen or coming off a handoff himself, and then being able to maybe immediately go into a pick and roll with maybe even Krivas,
Right.
a big pick and roll scenario. You could easily see something like that being effective. And so to me, that's the beauty of Tommy Lloyd offensively, is that he's got a lot of variety to what he tries to do. And based on the personnel, this is the most important part, based on the personnel that he has, he will adapt to what they do best as much as possible. And I think if you're looking at a guy like Trey and being able to incorporate him into this offense, how is that going to look? I think you're not going to just plug and play what you did last year. I think you're going to, manipulate this a little bit more to take advantage of his skill sets for sure. So the passing ability is a real premium.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, that we've seen with Tommy Lloyd is players have become more efficient under Tommy Lloyd. Caleb Love, when he came here, I almost said Caleb Bookman for some reason. Caleb Love, though, when he came here, everyone's like, oh, he's only Kobe Thiel in the chat would always say he's only a 38% shooter. Well, he got it up to 43. Again, he's not like he's ever going to be, super efficient. I get all of that. But same with Keyshawn Johnson. Keyshawn Johnson never shot a 3 at San Diego State. He made more threes in one season at Arizona than he made his entire year at San Diego State. That's what you're going to get. And so all these people that keep complaining about, well, Trey Townsend only shot 46% from the field, you got to factor in a couple things. First of all, he was the best player on his team. He was the conference player of the year. He's getting double teamed. I don't need to tell anybody that. You double team the other team's best player generally, especially when you're in a smaller conference. With Arizona, he's going to be playing with better players. Guess what? Probably not going to be double teamed as much, especially with as good a passer as he is. So I would look for those efficiency numbers to go up even a little bit, Saul.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And also, just look at the tape. Look at when he plays against the big dogs, the big schools, like he fared very, very well.
Right.
And it's going to sound really weird. I know the competition level lower at the smaller conferences, the mid majors, and so on, but sometimes it is more difficult to play against those teams because they're always throwing some janky, weird shit at you, and you don't know what to expect. And at a guy like Trey Townsend's size, to be able to manipulate, the coverages and be able to do what you want to do at that level, because the coverages are not as sophisticated as they are at the higher levels because of the players and the talent that are provided those coaches at the higher levels, it can be a little difficult. So I don't take too much stock into what he did percentage wise at Oakland. He was the go-to guy for a really, really good team, a Horizon League winner and player of the year. I like that. I guarantee you when he gets here, he's going to be more efficient. He's going to be a better all-around player because he's going against better all-around talent day in, day out. And you got to raise your level to meet that expectation. In addition to that, he's playing against bigger competition, especially now with Kansas, Houston, Baylor, Texas Tech, like all those big boys coming to town. That's exactly a conference where you can just be like, oh, I can coast today. There's no more of those games.
Right. Now, Gringo Billy getting a couple cheap shots in, getting a little frisky. Remember when Keyshawn was going to be Pac-12 Player of the Year? He wasn't because Caleb Love was, my friend. Be careful right there, Gringo Billy. We like you very much, but be careful there. I have a very long memory, as Saul Bookman knows. Okay.
He does. He's like Rain Man over here.
All right. Let me ask you this, Saul. I'm going to give you a starting 5 right now. And I want you to say, just, on a broad feel, what does this feel like nationally? Jaden Bradley at the point, Caleb Love at the 2, KJ Lewis at the 3, Trey Townsend at the 4, Mount Crevis at the 5. What does that feel like as far as a starting lineup goes nationally?
I think you're looking at like somewhere between a 10 and 15 ranking.
Okay.
I would say.
Okay.
I think it's a good lineup. It's a solid lineup. But I think until you watch it on the court, and this has happened so many times in the Tommy Lloyd era, where you think, okay, the team's going to be okay, and then they come out and they light the world on fire to start the season, and they set these expectations that are really, really high. And unfortunately, they haven't lived up to them at the end of the season. But they have always played better than we thought they were going to at the beginning of these seasons. And I think this is going to be another case of that. The thing that when I look at this lineup, the biggest thing that is the glaring need is the lack of outside shooting.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's where Caleb Love is going to have to step up big time in that regard. And even Jaden Bradley. And Jaden Bradley showed you he could do that in the tournament last year. I harken back to looking at, basically him trying to carry that entire team on his back in the last minutes of that game against Clemson, and him hitting that step back 3, like he had been doing it all season with ease. And I'm just like, okay, there is something that Jaden, obviously Lewis has got to get in the lab and just continue to work on that outside shot if he comes back for sure.
Brad Rich, this is not true. Brad Rich, I've been ignoring you because you have 2 first names. We do not like people on this show with 2 first names. Mike Luke says no to Brad Rich. Honestly, though, you're one of my favorite people, but making fun of Bruce is off limits on this show. Bruce is my favorite person in the entire media. Bruce will always be backed on this show. What was the name of the guy in Braveheart?
I never watched Braveheart, so I can't tell you.
You never watched Braveheart, Saul?
No.
Wow, man, seriously, man, you really overcame the odds to get to this position by never watching Braveheart. But no, it's a very, very good movie. Saul, can I get you? No, not William Wallace, the guy that betrayed William Wallace. His name was Bruce. Gosh, somebody will help me out here. But Saul, can I get you to? I need you to be able to say that you will watch Braveheart sometime this summer. Can I get you to say it? It's really a good movie.
Man, it just seems like not a movie I would like at all.
Oh, it's very good. Oh, Robert the Bruce. That was his name. That's always what I think about with Bruce Pascoe. Bruce the Pascoe. There we go. Anyways, there will never be any Bruce slander on this show. Take that one to the bank. All right. Now let's talk about the bench, Saul. Tobe Awaka. I would 1,000% like to get Tobe Awaka. I think that you can actually sell it. Listen, if Henry Vasar becomes good, I will totally say that is awesome. But with Awaka, I think you can sell him on being a little bit of the 4 and a little bit of the 5 and, 20 plus minutes per game. Because again, you got 80 minutes in that front court. And I think that you can also say, listen, and then the power forward position the following years is all yours. I would love to be able to get him. That would make me feel very good about the front court depth as well. And we haven't even got into Carter Bryant, which we're going to get to in a second.
I know we haven't even talked about any of the freshmen. Right. And that's, I mean, you're talking about an embarrassment of riches at that point. And if any one of those freshmen hits, that's what takes them from 10 to 15 range to top 5,
right?
Like immediately. Exactly. And that's the thing that you're hoping you see when we head into next year. I do like this team. I do think again, whether it be Awaka or a surefire outside shooter, one of those two, I feel like we need to have coming off that bench to help keep the momentum going in these games and really keep the scoring going. Awaka is not going to be that offensive scorer. He's not a Trey Townsend scorer type. He is very much a raw product when it comes to the offensive side of the ball. He'll get you a bucket around the rim, but he's not going to get you anything more than that. He's not a shooter. And so you're bringing him in for defensive purposes. His size, his athleticism, that's going to help Arizona. So when you're looking at the rest of the roster and you're looking at the freshmen, that's where they're going to have to step up and step in.
Yep, exactly. Now, Carter Bryant, being asked about Carter Bryant. By the way, Saul, multiple people in here, Saul, so this is called peer pressure. Multiple people in here have said that Braveheart is a top 10 movie of all time. It is a top 10 movie of all time. It is that good. It is that good. You will thank me later for this. So, again, I know Erika Day is saying that you're going to have too much Mercury talk. You can never have enough Mercury talk, but at the same time, you can never have enough Braveheart. Saul, we're going to timestamp this. Today is April 25th, April, May, June. All right. Now the Suns look like they're going to be out pretty early, so you won't have any June by June 1. What can you have watched Braveheart? Maybe with the misses.
I'm not making any promises.
I mean,
listen, Mike, like, listen, man, like, I've been burned by you too many times, man. So I'm not going to commit to anything until I feel like I really want to watch it. Maybe one day I'll show up on the show. I'm like, you know what? I watched Braveheart last night. There you go. But I'm not going to commit to anything. I'm going to be like kids nowadays. You know what? I don't know. I'm going to commit whenever I feel like it.
All right, fine. I tried my hardest. Mel Gibson, sorry, I can't get you any more royalties off that movie. I do apologize. So now let's talk a little bit. First, though, we got to talk about something that the elephant in the room that has not been addressed this show. And this is an important thing. It's a staple of the show. Circle K. Here's the deal. I went to Circle K yesterday, as many times. I go to Circle K about 3 times a week. Those chips are fantastic. There were people waiting in line to get those chips and backing the K. Here's the cool thing, though, Saul. Did you know that they have Inner Circle hats now that they wear? I need to get one of these Inner Circle hats. I even posted a picture of it on Twitter, and I said, Max, we need to get these Inner Circle hats. Saul, you're the GM. You're the boss. Can we start getting these Inner Circle hats?
I am on it.
They're pretty right now. I mean, they're pretty slick. Honestly, they're pretty cool.
I'm literally texting Max Simpson right now and saying, why do we not have these right now?
Yes. And I took a picture of it and I asked the person, and I held up the line. I was probably being a jerk. I don't care. And I asked him, I said, where did you get this hat? And they said, it comes with the employee. So they're handing it out. They're dispersing it to the employees. I would rock. I've always told people this. If I lose this Arizona hat, I will never wear another hat on this show. That's just the way it is. When I lost it in the closet, I didn't wear a hat. I would wear an Inner Circle hat. That is how committed I am to the Inner Circle. Just like that, join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. We got to get the hats, period, point blank. And I think a lot of people out here would get them if we had a link. That's how cool the Inner Circle hats are.
Very true. Very true.
Right. Okay. Now, Kobe Thiel always dissing on the hat. We will not have any. We will not talk anything more about that. All right. We're going to get to a little. Yes, I do not care. We're going to make. We got Erika Day
on this show.
Yeah, we got. Yeah, I mean that movie is twisted. No, it's a very dude. You're not helping my cause right here. Also, OGs. Saul, you were the best OGs reader in this entire company. It's by a mile. Your OGs reads are awesome. Saul, the floor is yours.
Vegan gummies. You wouldn't believe how good they are. Clementine, the Clementine flavor is fantastic. You got to support very own product in OGs. Bred in the southern Arizona parts. You got to make sure you get some ogsbrands.com. You go there, you find the closest dispensary to you down there in the Tucson area, and you go get some OGs. They're always flying off the rack. And for the first time ever, Mike, OGs is actually offering a deal, and I've never seen this before in any of their at any point in time since we've had a partnership with them for the last 2 years. They've never had like a buy one get one 50% off or buy one get one free deal. Right now they do. So if you go to the closest dispensary, you'll see what that deal of the day is, and you can get hooked up with some OGs. And listen, not even I've taken a million other edibles since I started partaking in some OGs, and the other edibles you can taste the product, you can taste the THC, you can taste it, and I'm not a big fan of that. OGs, it's like you're eating candy, which is both good and bad.
No, it's all good.
If you can't control your sweet craving, you might want to just take one and throw the bag in a safe, keep it away from you, because you might go a little might take much, and you might start seeing 5 Mike Lukes at the same time instead of just one.
It might be, or it might be like seeing 6 drumsticks in the evening as opposed to just one, Saul.
You go. Or it could be like eating 6 drumsticks in one sitting and waking up the next morning and not having any left and wondering where they went and realizing you were the one that ate them all.
Anybody that would theoretically do that is an idiot. I can't even imagine who that person would be.
I can't imagine either. But anyway, go to ogsbrands.com. Get you some sativas, indicas, some RSOs. And remember, folks, you must be over the age of 21 to enjoy.
All right, now we're going to talk some Arizona football here, and then we're going to make fun of ASU, and then we're going to get to the great Erika Day because she has many little tidbits behind the scenes. All right, Saul, listen, Here's the thing. I don't like how Jedd Fisch left, but I always tell people this. I got to give Jedd Fisch a lot of credit. He upped the talent immeasurably here at the U of A, and it's not even close. So, the people that are like, oh, we should have never hired Jedd Fisch. Yes, it's a bummer on how he left, obviously. But listen, he did a really good job when he was here, a really good job. And Saul, we led with the show when I was legitimately asking you about whether the Cardinals should draft a U of A player. It's probably been 20 years since we've said something like that in the first round.
Yeah, couple. I know that the Cardinals are high on Jacob Cowing too. So I know that if he's there probably around 5 or 6, the 5th or 6th round, they might take a flyer on him and bring him in, because Jacob Cowing is going to be one of the best receivers in this class. I would say if you could give me 7 choices from the receiver class this year of who I think is going to do a very good job in the NFL when they get there, Jacob Cowing would be in that top 7 for sure. 1,000,000%. You can even go watch Steve Smith, who's almost 100% correct on his wide receiver evaluations. He loves Jacob Cowing. So anyway, I digress. The talent pool, 1,000,000%. Could you imagine a world where we did hire Ken Niumatalolo and recruiting that he brought to the table and where we would be at right now? We would be so far behind.
Right.
We would be so far behind. So I'm not going to knock. Listen, I'm not knocking Jedd Fisch for anything up until the day he turned in his snake oil and showed his true colors at the end. After that point, yeah, he can go, wherever. But before that, he did a good job of rebounding this program and getting up to where it needed to be, especially on the talent lines, because we all know for the last decade, it's been nothing but Tweener City over here at the UA, and he changed. And I appreciate that very much.
Yes, exactly. And we're not even talking about Tanner McLaughlin. Tanner McLaughlin, a player that Mel Kiper has going in the top 110 in the so again, you look at Jacob Cowing, you look at Tanner McLaughlin, you also look at obviously Jordan Morgan. You also have a guy in a Michael Wiley that could be a late round pick or probably one of those free agent types. And then look at the 2025 class where you've got multiple first rounders, T-Mac, Jonas Savanea, both guys that you're going to find on every single first round. There's going to be others as well. So again, on this draft day, we got to give Fisch a lot of credit. I know it seems fishy, but we've got to give Fisch some credit here because he was swimming upstream when he got here, and now we are going downstream, Saul.
Yep. He's now a fish without water is what he is.
Yes, that is exactly what it is. Now, all the scholarships. Bob Wade. I wonder if this is bad. I don't think that's Bobby Wade, but Bob Wade. Any idea? They're going to hit the portal. They just got a very nice defensive tackle from Memphis. Who?
What was the question? What was the question?
Oh, excuse me. Any ideas who the other 13 scholarships go to? Maybe Caden Luke. Caden Luke is probably going to have to prove his spot. Fam 2 is probably going to have to prove his spot for a year. But here's the position. Saul and I talked about this on Tuesday. You got to get more. You got to get more corners. You got to get more ends, and you probably got to get a little bit more. You obviously got to get a running back now, being that Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt does not have any eligibility. But that's kind of where we're at with that now. Before we talk a little bit about ASU, Saul, I got another thing I got to ask you about. Serious question. Game time. Here's the deal with game time. I know somebody, The Rock, the concert place is right across the street from my house. Very cool.
Yeah, it is. I saw Little Dicky at The Rock.
You saw Little Dicky? Hey, do you know who this Little Peep guy is? Have you ever heard of him?
I do not. No.
So he's some rapper, or he's the guy with the shrine in front of his.
The shrine, yeah.
You're
going to make it the Dylan Anderson shrine.
Yeah, no, there are. Yeah, I'm going to do that, but it'd probably be vandalism. I don't care. But there are kids that go and they take their like little souped up Hyundais or Hondas, and they go there and they genuflect in front of it. I saw it the other day. I see it all the time. Yeah, he died in Tucson. But either way, game time, though, can get you into any place. The Rock is the spot to be. And I did not know this. I was talking with somebody, a security guard, the other day. I like talking with the security guards in case I need their assistance at some point. And he told me, he says, there's this thing called Game Time where some people got in for a concert here at the last second. He said, I had no clue about the app. They checked it in, everything. Here's the deal, Saul. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. I have it on good authority that you and your lovely wife are going to a concert. Maybe you used Game Time for this as well. Is there any?
I say that? Did I tell you?
I got sources everywhere, Saul.
Oh, all right. Well, yeah. We're gonna go watch Bill Burr on Saturday night. And yes, I did use Game Time. So
Game Time was in the equation.
It was in the equation. Now, I wanted to make sure I got tickets ahead of time, so I didn't wait until the last minute. But typically, if you wait till the last minute, you will get even better deals. So the longer you wait, the better it pays off. You also take that risk. Maybe tickets are sold out. And for smaller venues, you probably don't want to do that. But for bigger venues, especially sporting events, I would wait until the very last minute.
Because that's where it's at. All right, Saul utilized it. I had my sources in the background that knew what Saul was going to be doing, and that's where we're at. All right, now, ASU. This is really actually, I got to say, this is a good day for ASU. And that ASU boosters, some people behind the scenes have finally kind of stepped up and they're like, listen, this is getting silly. Michael Crow was going to try to promote from within as if the Ray Anderson era was not good enough for him. And so everybody knows about Ray Anderson, Herm Edwards, and Michael Crow's like, you know what? Why don't we just keep this one on there? Now, multiple boosters came in there and they said, no, we're not going to do any of this. We're not going to give you any money whatsoever. So it looks like that has been kiboshed. But what I'm very intrigued about, too, is the multiple reports, too, that in Crow's contracts, there's going to be clauses added that the football and the basketball program has to be successful in order to get more money. All of a sudden, I think he might be a little bit more interested in this. But Saul, joking aside, having a president that's done good things academically, but literally is apathetic or disdains sports is just an insane way to go about things.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know how you build an athletic program. Athletics, somebody could tell me if I'm wrong, but athletics is the most front-facing marketing tool you have at any university because of the television exposure that you get and the revenue that you get from the television exposure. Like, I don't know what we're doing. I don't know what anybody would be doing in not prioritizing athletics to a certain degree, at least keep everything at a baseline level. And that's the thing with the athletic program at ASU. Is that it's just Crow is he just doesn't know what he's doing. And that athletics plays a big part. Look at TCU. TCU makes a run to the national championship, and their enrollment shoots up by 236%.
Right.
So you're taking kids. My kids are 16 years old, okay? They're juniors in high school. They're starting to think of where they want to go to college next year or in 2 years. And my son literally said, Dad, I want to go take a recruiting visit to Penn State. And I was like, Penn State? For what? He was like, they got a good football program. And that shit matters to kids. It does. And
right.
So, like, that's why U of A has so many passionate fans and kids go there a lot of times because they want to go to a successful program. So, yeah, it's just it's crazy that he wouldn't prioritize this issue, especially in the Valley where there's so many other things that are competing with you. To have I mean, literally, man, Marcos Deniz High School, my beloved alma mater, has a better gym than ASU does, and that's ridiculous.
And what's wild, too, about it is that with all the local talent that you have there in football and basketball, even with the prep schools, you would think that, just show a little bit of interest in something. My favorite thing last year was when Bobby Hurley was saying we need to upgrade the facilities to a certain degree. And then Ray Anderson's like, not Ray Anderson. Michael Crow's like, I don't really know that I agree with that. Like, this was like a public back and forth. And, for me, I'm like the guy with the popcorn looking behind the tree, like, all right, keep it going, guys, keep it going. But that's, I am glad that is happening. We will see what exactly occurs there, but something needed to happen when it came to that. And it's just funny to watch. That's why I give, like I said, in my opinion, Bobby Robbins had to go because there's a lot of other things that come to running a school besides just the athletics, obviously. But at the same time, he liked athletics, and it shows. Arizona is good in basketball. Arizona is good in football. We are going to be talking about another program that was just in the national championship game there in just a second. But the other thing, too, that with ASU that still baffles me is that Crow did not know what streaming was. When we were talking about going to the Big 12, And he was one of the people, I know this 1000% for a fact. He was one of the people that wanted to stay in the Pac-12 at any cost, and taking $7 million less to stay on streaming. And the big thing he said was, well, you know, with the streaming devices, you're able to this was his quote, you're able to capture the moment, and then you're able to go back and watch it again. This is some deep stuff, Saul. This is something that even Mike Luke, technological neophyte Mike Luke, knew about before Michael Crow said that. That just showed me, though, joking aside, just kind of a lack of knowledge.
I can't explain to you how many times I get frustrated when I hear older guys, older people, and I'm not trying to be ageist at all, but people that are in high authority positions in the broadcasting space or in high level academic spaces that have power over athletics would not understand what the future looks like ahead. I don't comprehend that at all. And I've personally dealt with that. When I was at, here's a little story for you, Mike.
Let's hear it.
When I was at Fox Sports Arizona, and we were about to transition over to Bally Sports Arizona, we were in the pandemic, and I was like, you know what? We got no games going on right now. This is June of 2020. 0 things are happening. So let's start some podcasts with the talent that we have here in studio. So we started 7 different podcasts. And over the course of the first 6 months, they didn't really track very much. They got a little bit of traction, but you know, they did okay. And then the wave hit, and it started to increase probably about November, right? So then we get to January, the beginning of January, and my boss is like, hey, Coyotes are coming back. Let's cut all our podcasts. We need to focus on the Coyotes. And I love the Arizona Coyotes, but their ratings were not very high because they just didn't track a lot. And so we cut the Sun solar panel, but I was able to stay on that. And because of that, I was able to get this job. And the revenue that I made off just the Sun solar panel, just by itself, was enough for my mortgage every single month. Like, so I don't comprehend how somebody like a Dr. Crow or President Crow, whatever you want to call him, would not understand the future of digital when it comes to the variety of different things that are at his disposal, including the student athletes and the students themselves, who could literally tell him, hey, this is what I watch. This is what I do. If you don't have a pulse on that, then I don't know what to tell you. You're way behind the 8 ball if you are.
Yes, I would agree with that. Maybe he uses the inner. That was funny. Yes, I agree with that. Saul, you put it very, very well. Now, we're going to be joined by the great Erika Day. Hello, Erika Day. Erika Day, how are you doing? Let's see. Now, Saul, I need you to be honest was she minding her P's and Q's when you saw her yesterday?
She was solid. She was good people.
All right, Erika Day. What was your initial impressions of Saul Bookman when you said nobody's watching, so it doesn't really matter? What were your initial opinion? This is just us 3 right here. Erika?
Oh no. I don't think Erika can hear us.
Erika, can you not hear us?
Hi, Erika.
No, I can. No, can you guys hear me?
Oh, there you go. Oh, there we go.
All right, Erika, what were your impressions of Saul?
Hi, Saul. Yeah. No, I can hear you guys.
Gosh, I'm messing this. What were your impressions of Saul Bookman and Jacob Franklin? You sent me a picture of Jacob Franklin.
I surely did send you a picture of Jacob Franklin because you were trying to make me listen to the Sun Devils podcast in the middle of the Coyotes event. Like, I'm busy, Mike. I'm, sitting here with my phone up to my ear trying to get the timestamp for you. Not good. Not a good look, Mike. But Saul was cool.
Don't worry.
I'm disappointed in you, Mike.
Jervis Williams, I am the only one not using dial-up. My connection is very, very clean. Nobody will ever say that. I'm very proud of my fiber connection.
I'm not either.
Saul, you're buffering a ton.
Damn, I don't.
It is what it is. We will make it work. All right. Now, Erika Day, you are coming here to talk to us about some Arizona women's basketball in the Big 12. Now, let's talk about the Big 12. What do we need to know? Because, again, you have some really, really good stuff.
Yesterday, we went from having just a few teams that were big competition in the Big 12 to suddenly now we have to play Baylor also, and Baylor has Arnett Von Lay, and I don't want to play her. ever. I was hoping that she would go to a different conference so that Arizona could be done playing her, but apparently she would like to continue her journey of playing her ex team. So now we have to play a couple additional ex Wildcats in the Big 12. On top of it, Baylor has had some really good pieces that are staying in their program that are going to be fifth years. So our competition is expanding as the transfer portal kind of winds down here in the Big 12.
All right, now let's talk. All right, Erika, we need to talk. I'm looking at your show notes, by the way. Very good show notes that you sent me the other day. So, all right, here's I guess my big question is: who are the teams that Arizona looks at and you're like, all right, it's going to be very, very difficult to be able to beat them, and where should Arizona finish in the Big 12? Saul Bookman and Erika Day, questions for you as well.
So I'm looking for a top 5 finish for in the Big 12 at the bare minimum. I told you guys the other day I'm looking for a conference championship, and I'm not joking about that. I do think that Arizona has really good opportunity in the Big 12 to come out on top. They do have good competition, like KB Thiel is mentioning in the chat. TCU is going to be a really solid team this year. Unfortunately, the Haley Van Lith nonsense is just what I just said. It is nonsense. Is
she actually really good?
She is good. She played out of position last year. She's not a point guard. She's a shooting guard, and she needs to maintain her shooting guard position because she's a really good shooter. She's not good at distributing the ball, and that could be a knock on her, but I don't think it is. And Haley Van Lith has not announced her commitment to TCU, so
what do we need to know about Paulina? I'm getting a lot of people asking me about Paulina. What do we need to know about Paulina?
Paulina plays Adia style of basketball. She's scrappy. She's always going to go after 50-50 balls. She's going to get on the ground. She is exactly what Adia has wanted to recruit in terms of transfer portal players. Yeah, we may not know her very long, but she's great. She's got sticky fingers, can steal the ball just like Helena Puello. She can get hot and shoot the ball. She is going to be a very good all-around player on this team on both sides of the ball for Adia, and I think it's a really good fit within the program as well.
Saul, Helena Puello was really kind of that jack of all trades that they really need to be able to replace because she kind of did everything. You know, like you said, the sticky fingers, assists, a lot of different things, Saul.
Yeah, she did. Thing about Helena, and I love her to death. I think she was a good player. She was a good player. She wasn't a great player. She wasn't a phenomenal player. She was just a good player all around. She didn't make a lot of mistakes, but she didn't create a lot of mistakes. So I don't know if it's going to be she's irreplaceable. I think that there's the potential to find somebody out there that's going to be able to replace what she did. I don't know who that is, and I don't even know if that exists on the roster because outside of Jada Williams in the background in the backcourt, there's still a lot of question marks about what this team is going to have to offer defensively. I know the DNA of what Adia is going after, but I still think that they're missing a piece in order to really solidify themselves as a top 5, I would say top 3 team in the Big 12.
How are we dealing with the transfer portal then? With obviously Kaylin Gilbert has moved on to LSU, broken by Erika Day, if I'm not mistaken. This is true, Erika. Didn't you break this?
It surely is true. I was the only one reporting her visit.
All right, there you go. That's called breaking news. Okay, now what happened with what's that next step then? Is there somebody in the portal right now that Arizona is in on that could be a really good that could be a really nice piece like Saul was talking about? Defense is the DNA. So what's the next step?
Personally, I'm looking for Adia to pull a center out of the portal, and I'm not looking for her to pull a big name center out of the portal either. Like Kiki Ariafen is going to go on a visit to both SC, South Carolina, and USC. We're not in that battle, and that's okay. I want her to pull a center out of a mid-major that is probably an underdog. Those types of players do much better at Arizona than the big, high-profile players. So I'm looking for her to pull another center out of the portal. I know she said that she has 13 roster spots filled out right now, scholarships filled. I only think she's looking to fill 14, so I'm hoping that the 14th here is a big for us.
Yes, Rick Behrens is asking, how does Erika L. Day know this? A great magician never reveals their tricks. We will never say anything. We'll never say anything like that. Now, All right, I got to ask you guys a little bit now. I want to talk about Brea Cunningham. Had a couple people ask about this. What is reasonable expectations for her this year coming in? Because again, she is obviously a top 10 player, kind of transitioning obviously to the college game. What are realistic expectations? And can she play like a 5-star?
I think so. I'm a big Brea Cunningham person. I was more stoked about her coming here than Jada Williams, if that tells you anything about her skill set.
Wow.
I think, yeah, I was stoked when she announced her recruitment here, or her commitment. Nonetheless, though, I am looking for her to step it up in terms of physicality while watching her fouls. There's like some crazy stat where she had the record for how many games she fouled out of this year, which is pretty unfortunate considering our roster size issue. So I'm really just looking for her to stay in the game and play with a little bit more physicality, but also smarter.
Can we get an NCAA tournament win this year? Can we get back into that? Maybe two NCAA. Can we get to the Sweet 16? Let me ask you that.
Depends on the path. I think it depends on the path, and it definitely depends on the seed. You know, that's what I think right now. As of right now, with the unknowns, I would say that's where I would put them. I would say that they're in that 16 to 20 range nationally, and so that would depend on what the path is going to look like to get Sweets.
This group loves playing at home, and I think that their biggest motivation this year is going to be to host the tournament. They love playing in McHale. So I think for them to have the extra opportunities to play in McHale and play in the tournament, I think that is their whole motivation this year. Adia did it 2 years in a row, and I think to them it's a why not us? So I think that that's what they're going to be stepping out and looking.
Can she get back on if they kind of get back on that winning footing and being like a top 20 team again? Can she start bringing in those top 5 classes again that basically you're a year removed from? Because again, you got to remember, just a year or two ago, Arizona was one of the hottest name on the West Coast on the recruiting trail. I mean, look at Jada Williams. Jada Williams could have gone anywhere in the country. Committed to UCLA, obviously known very well nationally. Can Arizona get back onto that with a strong season this year? And how important is the season this year for getting back on that tip, as the kids would say?
It's very
I think
important.
this year's Go ahead, Saul.
It's very important. Like the momentum that you had when they went to the national championship is almost all but gone, and it's had to be rebuilt to a certain degree. And then the optics of the amount of transfers that have left the program just nationally didn't look very good, right? Because that just doesn't happen to the big time programs as much as it did over the course of the last 2 years. And so there's been a little bit of a rehab project going on with this program. And I know that Adia is cognizant of that, but I also know that she is, listen, not everything was the way it was made out to be, especially on the Twitter streets, right? Like that's just so far from the truth. But you can't ignore the fact that those kids did leave the program for a variety of different reasons. And you got to be sure when coming in there, they don't look at that and they see, oh man, what happened there that I don't know about, that I'm not seeing, that's going to cause me to feel like that in a year from now too. Do I really want to go to that spot? And it's up to Adia and that coaching staff to try and rehab that image a little bit, because that is a thing. But I think they're doing a good job so far of it. And the great thing about what Adia has done is she hasn't backed down about, like, listen, sometimes this just is not a good fit for some kids. It's not because we don't like them. It's because we're trying to get rid of them. It's just some kids feel like they want to do this, that, or the other, and that's okay. We want to find players that want to be here, and that's what we're going to try and do. And as long as you stick to your guns, then you're going to be okay, and I think that's what she's trying to do.
Now,
I was talking to Shayna Pellington yesterday, and she literally told me Adia Barnes is not easy to play basketball for. You have to play on both sides of the ball for 40 minutes. And that is not true with 90% of these programs in the country. So it is not easy to stick on this team. And if you're on top of it, not getting the playing time that you think you should, and we all know that every kid wants to play 38 minutes of the game, then you're going to leave. And that's just the reality of it. And I don't think that I think Adia's done a really good job over the last 12 months of rebuilding her image as best as she could. I think that this past year was one of Adia's best coaching jobs that she's had at Arizona. She made something out of nothing entirely. So
now,
but I think it's very, you got to be very careful about that though, because I think people perceive that as, like when people say that she's not an easy coach to play for, you can sometimes get the misconception that she's doing things the wrong way, or she's approaching it a bad way, or maybe a negative way. And I don't think that's necessarily the case in a lot. Sometimes she's just coaching very hard. She's demanding that you get these things done in order to execute at a high level. And sometimes, listen, man, these kids come from these AAU programs and they've been coddled this whole time. For 18 years of their life, they have been the best player on one team, been just babysat the entire time. Then they get to a place like South Carolina, LSU, U of A, UConn. And Gino has been doing it for so long that he gets the pass, even though he's just as hard, if not harder than any coach in the country to play for. But you know why? The results speak for themselves. When you don't have the results that speak for themselves, and all you have is national runner-up trophy, you have to make sure that everything that you do is going to get results that you want. Because if you don't, then players are going to be like, well, I just got coached hard and we didn't have anything to show for it. They won't take the onus on themselves, blame everything that's surrounding them, because that's what kids do nowadays. And so unless they're coached or mentored or taught properly, they're just going to keep doing that, and they're going to keep transferring. And that's what a majority of college athletes today, because of this whole movement in AU and the youth programs and all the bullshit that goes along with it. Sorry, I'm a little fired up about this topic. It's because all these coaches, all they want to do is make profit off these kids, even at the AAU level, get themselves a little hype, and they coddle these players like they're fucking professional athletes, and then they go off and they go to college and they can't deal with it. So they transfer 18,000 times, and then they end up nowhere. Because you know what? You didn't take it on yourself to improve yourself. So being coached hard is different than being, having a dictator that's just doing things that are just completely off the cuff. You shouldn't be doing, like choking kids out, or, grabbing jerseys and throwing kids around. Like that, she's not doing that. I've seen her practices. I've seen her practices about a dozen times, and there's not one instance where I've ever thought, ooh, that was a little close to crossing the line. Now, behind closed doors, when I'm not around, maybe there's some crazy shit going on, but I highly doubt that.
Now, I'm going to say this. I am going to go on record and say Arizona is going to be in the Sweet 16 next year. And guess what? I would bet this on the BetMGM Sportsbook app. This is 1,000% true. Erika Day, do you want to join me on betting this on the BetMGM Sportsbook app?
I would love to join you.
Saul Bookman, what about yourself?
I'm already there.
All right, we like this. Sign up for the BetMGM. Use bonus code PHNX. Place your first BetMGM Sportsbook wager through BetMGM Sportsbook mobile app for at least $10. You will receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if the bet loses. Also, you can go on there and check out the NFL. You've got some NFL bets on here, prop bets, draft stuff. Check it out. Maybe you're thinking the Cardinals are going to draft somebody. That's what you want to do. Check it out, the BetMGM Sportsbook app. Check out the show notes for full details. And now let's hear from the great Shane Diefenbach with the disclaimer.
Bonus bets expire in 7 days. One new customer offer only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus only. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only. Subject to eligibility requirements. Bonus bets are non-withdrawable. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. See BetMGM.com for terms. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, North Carolina, Ontario, or Puerto Rico.
All right. Very, very good. All right. Saul, you got a draft party to get to. This is true. Arizona Cardinals, call your shot, Saul Bookman. Where tomorrow? Who are we waking up to that the Arizona Cardinals have as their wide receiver?
Oh, man. I'm going to say Marson.
I will take it. What say you, Erika Day, or do you even care?
Oh, no. I've been listening to my dad talk about Marvin Harrison for 3 weeks now, so I'm excited that it's going to be a done deal today.
All right.
That wouldn't.
Oh, Saul doesn't think it's going to be a done deal.
Inside info. Saul spilled the tea, Saul.
I'm just saying, Monty loves a good deal. So if something comes in the 11th hour in the draft, I wouldn't be surprised if they traded out of that spot.
Gosh. I'm calling my dad right now to tell him, don't be disappointed.
And And Erika Elday's sister who joined the chat. We very much appreciate you joining. I assume this was your sister, correct? Jonathan
My brother
Day.
and my sister are in the chat right now. Jonathan's my brother and Shelby is his wife.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, we've got a whole family connection. That's what we're trying to do around here. By the way, Saul, you've got also a golf tournament coming up. This is true.
May 10th.
Keep it
May
at
10th,
100.
the Keep It 100. Yeah, the Keep It 100 tournament. It's the last tournament before it gets to triple digits. It probably hit triple digits before we even get there. But it's a good time. It's a fun time. Come out and get yourself some food. Get yourself some good times on the course. Win a lot of prizes and have fun. So you can't go wrong with this one.
All right. There's Saul handing out. Saul, will you be handing out shirts again, like you were in that picture?
Probably, because that's what I do.
A man of many trades, goes to NFL draft parties, hands out shirts at the Keep It at 100. Many, many, many good things. And I love all the Saul Bookman free throw references already in here. There was, I counted 9 of them. Very, very good. Let's keep it going. Keep the word spread. But we will be back with you tomorrow for the lovely Miss Erika Day, the boss, Saul Bookman, the great Jacob Franklin behind the scenes. Everybody out there, we very much appreciate you. You're the ones that make the chat. You keep me in line. We will be back with you tomorrow. You have been listening to the AZ Wildcats podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.